I've always been mission driven. So I've always known I wanted to help people. I've always loved technology, but like really like I'm not trying to build technology for technology's sake. It's really fundamentally about how can we help people. And so robotics and AI are a tool that, if applied correctly, can dramatically help um, uh, billions of people. And so for me, I became interested in it like college, post college, because I started to realize that these technologies can significantly impact people, particularly people in areas that have lower resources.
Any advice for any kids like junior high, high school who are like interested in getting into robotics and AI?
Oh yeah, do it,
Yeah.
do it. It's an amazing field. You'll learn a ton. You'll have a lot of fun while you're building, um, but also just like depending on who you are, don't. My advice would be don't just build to build with a purpose, um, because I think that'll lead you down a more fulfilling path.
Now, do you have to be like super smart, like mathematically inclined to do robotics?
I don't think so. I think there are a bunch of different ways to apply robotics. So, for example, we our head of product development doesn't have a software. She's an engineer, but she doesn't have a software background. Um, but she's been super impactful in helping our team understand how to apply robotics to facilitate specialist workflows.
So, what two-part question? What excites you about robotics and AI, and what scares the fuck out of you about robotics and AI?
Oh man, the thing that excites me about robotics and AI is that a lot of people call it physical AI. It's this ability to enable specialists to treat patients who aren't in their same location or who are at a distance. And so, like we can just significantly distribute access to care. Like that's fundamentally everything that we're about at Doppel. Thing that scares me is that's a good question. Oh no, I don't get scared of a lot related to this, but I um, I want people to understand that like these technologies aren't these technologies don't necessitate that we replace people. They I think they will in certain scenarios over time, but like we're not building or using these technologies to replace people. We're using them to enhance their abilities, and I think that's a really important difference that I wish more people talked about.
So, how do we get that word out? Because most people think the opposite, or they think it's going to replace the jobs, not enhance it. Right? Is this like bad PR by the robotics companies or the AI companies? Like, how do we, kind of get that word out there? You think?
Yeah, I think it's conversations like this. I think AI, robotics, particularly replacing people, has just been like overhyped. And when you look at technology, the growth of technology, like I'm still here, you're still here, we're still doing our thing, even though we have AI that we've been using for decades.
Yeah, people don't realize AI is not like brand new, right?
Right.
It's been around for decades, right? Yeah.
Right, and we're still here doing our thing, and so the same thing's going to happen moving forward. Things I think are accelerating, but like there's always going to be a place for smart folks to make the world a better place using existing technologies and stuff.
I mean, you think pretty much every generation, new tech comes, right? Like
Right.
the basic thing, the car replaced the horses, right?
Right, exactly.
All that stuff, and like I heard people compare the AI just like when the internet took over, right? Everybody thought internet was going to fade, it would go away.
Right.
AI's not going anywhere.
Right. So
The name, come with your name. Is that like an acronym or something? Talk about the meaning of the name.
yeah, doppelganger. The the premise is that you've got a physical world and a virtual world, and we're collecting data that can represent the physical world digitally, and there's people, places, and things in that virtual world. and those are our doppelgangers. And so while you have a remote specialist performing an ultrasound exam on a patient that's over 200 miles away, that remote specialist is actually digitally present in that physical room with the patient, and so that's their doppelganger. And so
Okay.
that's how the name Doppel came about.
Nice. So let's talk about this, right? So there was always like, these comparisons, like rich and poor, privileged, non-privileged, right? But I think the biggest thing we just saw was this, right? I'm kind of mixing it up. Like, pose like you're quote unquote a poor person in Seattle, right? And you're like a medium class or rich person in like, small town Arkansas, right? I would argue you have more opportunities in Seattle because all the access to computers, internet, all that kind of stuff, right? Where rural Arkansas, you probably don't, right? So how do you think, is that something that needs to be fixed, or is this the way it is, or is there a way we can fix that?
No, I think we can definitely fix that. But I think we have to change how we look at the problem. Like, for me, these problems are fundamentally rooted in the distribution or lack of distribution and power. And so when someone doesn't live close to something, or when someone is prevented from accessing a system in some way, is it distance? Is it how they look? Is it the environment that they're in? And how can we change that? And so fundamentally, I think it's about the distribution of power, and we can change access by changing the way that we look at and distribute power to people.
All right, so follow-up question. Let's suppose you're in a town, we'll say Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And there's like some rich people there. They control all the tech, all the stuff, all the access, right? And this group of people, they do events every month, right? And they want people to come, right? And there's like, say the part of the town, they want opportunities, right? But they don't know what's going on in the rich part of town, right? So is it the responsibility of the quote unquote rich people to reach down and say, hey, we have all this stuff going on, we're hiring, we need to do this? Or the quote unquote, less rich people to find these opportunities and go there?
That's a good question. It's also a complicated question. Like, I don't know if there's one answer necessarily. From my perspective, if I'm a person that has resources, I want to find the folks who could benefit from those, and then distribute those resources to them, so that they could continue that process on. But that's just my perspective, and I don't necessarily think that someone's wrong for not doing that. I think it kind of just depends on the situation.
Yeah, I think the problem is you have like, the people resources, they're like put them out and like, they're like, oh, I've done all I can do, right? It's on Loom, but it's on Eventbrite, right? And maybe they need to do more. And you have like, less fortunate people, you want to call it. They're like, well, I want to go, but I don't have a car.
Mm-hmm.
And the bus takes 3 hours, or it's like this and this, right? It's like, I won't say come excuse, like a reason not to do it, right? So I definitely think both sides need to like make more of an effort to meet in the middle, so to speak.
Yeah.
So what's your definition of underserved communities?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of different ways to slice it. I think the best way for me to describe it is to just describe like what I saw growing up. And so I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The time it was a city with one of the highest black infant mortality rates in the nation, and I got to watch some work that my dad did to improve access to care in Kalamazoo, by bringing the care to the people. And so one definition of an under-resourced community is a community that lacks access to the basic health care that they need. And so by bringing those resources into that community, now you've increased the level of access, and so there's less of a gap there. And so that's sort of my conceptual model of an under-resourced community.
Talk some more about the impact your dad had on you.
Yeah, I mean, when you see somebody wake up every day and dedicate their whole life to one thing, that has a significant impact on you. It instilled in me not only work ethic, but the belief that the fundamental understanding that I can make a difference